Let us be called by bell and bird, by stars and streams, by the beat of our hearts. Let us be called together in covenant. Let us be called back to our true self, the co-arising web of existence which constitutes us and of which each of us is the whole entire web. Today, with the bell sounding at Deer Park Monastery in California and the black-capped chickadee singing in many backyards, let us especially remember our covenant to affirm and promote the seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Coming to you from White Plains, New York, on land formerly home to the Lenape Nation and the Labrador Duck, this is CUUC Morning News with Reverend Deb Mora.
Good morning, and welcome to Community Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Deb Mora, Community Minister in affiliation with this congregation, and it is good to be together. We'll begin with our solar and lunar updates. Meredith?
Thanks, Deb. The 7 lights lit today indicate it is the 7th Sunday of spring. Yesterday at 2:10 in the morning, we passed the midpoint between the vernal equinox and the summer solstice, so we are now in the second half of spring. The length of daylight at White Plains latitude is up to 14¼ hours. The flower moon was full on Friday and is now waning gibbous. Deb?
Thanks, Meredith. The midway point of spring that you mentioned is the occasion of the pagan celebration Beltane, observed on May 1st, a few days before the actual midpoint. Beltane is the traditional time of driving the cattle out to their summer pastures, and the festival incorporates rituals that protect the cattle, people, crops, and encourage growth. On the Christian calendar, today is the 5th Sunday of Easter, as the Easter season continues until Pentecost Sunday in 3 more weeks.
And here in the UU tradition, we remember the 5 smooth stones of liberal religion. 1, revelation is continuous. Our understanding is ever evolving. 2, freedom. We strive to remove vestiges of coercion from all our relations. 3, justice. We strive to establish a just and loving community. 4, institution building. Good things don't just happen. People have to make them happen, and we have to do it together, even though that gets messy. And 5, meaningful change is possible.
Our theme for May is happiness. Copies of On the Journey exploring this theme are in the foyer. Our journey groups are small groups that meet monthly to explore the monthly theme. Anyone is welcome to join a group. Sign up at cucwp.org. And now it's time for our You Can rundown.
You can come to our brunch in Fellowship Hall immediately after today's service.
You can make a pledge of financial support of this congregation or revise your pledge. Forms are in the lobby.
If you can play music, then you can play something for us at our May 21st service in 2 weeks. Contact Adam about that.
You can help with food prep for our Meals for Hope project. Show up tomorrow and every Monday in our kitchen from 10 to 12.
You can read this year's UUA Common Read book, Mistakes and Miracles, Congregations on the Road to Multiculturalism. And you can sign up for one of our discussion groups to talk about the book. Take your pick, Saturday, May 20th, Sunday, May 21st, Monday, May 22nd, or Thursday, May 25th. The Saturdays at 10:30 a.m., the Sundays at 4 in the afternoon, the Monday and Thursday are at 7 p.m.
You can read and discuss the Science and Spirituality book, which is currently Yuval Harari's Homo Deus.
You cannot, however, attend Jazz Fest with the Valerie Capers Ensemble as previously scheduled for Saturday, May 13th. That's been postponed to September 23rd.
You can attend some Zoom online learning sessions. On Monday, May 15th at 7 p.m., our racial justice team hosts an exploration of intent versus impact. And on Wednesday, May 17th at 7:30, the Article 2 Learning Community explores the proposed terminology inspirations in comparison with the current sources.
You can attend our next walkabout concert at CUUC Saturday, May 20th, 7:30 p.m.
You can play games at our next game night, Saturday evening, May 27th.
You can be a trainee for our tech team that runs our equipment on Sunday mornings. Learn some tech and help your congregation. Contact Terry Kung.
You can experience UU General Assembly. It's June 21st through 25th in Pittsburgh or on Zoom. For the details about all of these stories and more, see your e-communitarian. And now we give a special welcome to our visitors. If you're new today and are comfortable being recognized, please wave a hand so we can welcome you.
Yeah.
Wow. Welcome. Welcome. And if you're new here online today, please introduce yourself in the chat. Those online can find a link to the order of service on our website, cuucwp.org. For May, our Share the Plate funds go to Meals for Hope. You may make a check with the memo, Share the Plate -Hope, and add it to the collection plate or mail it to the office. You can also use the donate button on our website to contribute online to the plate share, as well as for your pledge and for the minister's discretionary fund.
If you have a joy, sorrow, or milestone you'd like to share, you can write it in our Joys and Sorrows book on the table to my right. And for those of you at home on Zoom, please enter it into the chat, making the first word be joy, sorrow, or milestone. If you're interested in becoming a member of CUUC, do speak with me or contact the office to make an appointment.
And now, special reports from our senior culinary correspondent, Steve Miller, our senior religious exploration correspondent, Karen Dreyer, our ad hoc celebrations wizard, Catherine Cortland, and our fearless board leader, Creighton Cray. Steve?
Hey, everybody. I'm Steve Miller. I've been here at this congregation for about a dozen years, and I'm here to introduce the plate share this month, which is for Hope Community Services in New Rochelle, which is a soup kitchen, food pantry, and multi-social services agency. But our CUC has been primarily engaged in making food for them, for the soup kitchen. And so I'm here today to ask for your money, but mostly I'm here to tell you about what we've been doing for Hope for the last 3 years now. As of this week, and by the way, that's largely due to your support. As of this week, we've been producing food weekly for Hope Community Service for 3 years. At the end of this month, we'll celebrate our 150th weekly meal. At CUC, we made occasional meals for Hope for many years, but when COVID got underway, the need exploded, and we started cooking in earnest. We are Hope's largest and steadiest provider of meals. In many churches and other organizations give them food, individual people give them food, but we are by far the largest donator. I've also heard from Hope that we're some of the tastiest cooks, too. We figure we cook enough each week to feed about 200 people. We cook so much, we also give food every week to Open Arms Men's Shelter in White Plains, to ailing congregation members at CUC, and to our newest client, the Hope's Door Women's Shelter. We make a full meal with protein, like roast chicken or meatloaf, a starch like rice or pasta, and a vegetable. With chicken, we cook 180 pounds a week, 3 60-pound boxes. Plus, we'll do about 20 pounds of rice, 30 pounds of pasta, and a case of broccoli or squash. Let me crow a little bit about our numbers. I estimate that over the life of this project, the last 3 years, we've cooked about 7 tons of chicken on the bone. We've cooked a ton of ground beef and lesser amounts of pork, turkey, sausages, all kinds of stuff. Plus, we make a couple hundred peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every week so they distribute them at dinner so the clients have something for lunch the next day. Sometimes we'll make a case of egg salad. That's 15 dozen eggs to peel. In all, we've produced, get this, over 3 years, 25,000 meals plus. If you remember the Coneheads from Saturday Night Live, yeah, this is the true mass quantities of food. We have a great team of cooks in the kitchen and a delivery person to take it down to New Rochelle. Let's see, we have a bunch of dedicated ladies who make our peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Response from this congregation over the years has been tremendous. Looking out, I can see so many of you who've contributed, actually. It's been a really widespread effort, and so many of you have contributed. This project, I feel, has brought us together in unique ways, and it's really made me proud to be a Unitarian. I'd like to put in a word of thanks to the visionary crew that built our outstanding kitchen, which is better than any other church's kitchen that I've seen, really useful. And for the visionary guy who cleans the grease traps, Joe. Where does the food come from? In the beginning, we were buying our food, and it was costing a couple $100 a week. That really wasn't sustainable. Luckily, we have a guy on the inside working at our Hope Food Pantry where they distribute, a guy who works at the Hope Food Pantry where they distribute a whole larger quantities of food. So we get all our meat, our beans, pasta, rice, many other staples directly from Hope. We supply oil, spices, vegetables, a few other things. This means that we're producing enough food for 200 people a week for well under $100. That's one of our proudest achievements, producing something for almost nothing. Finally, I want to talk about the joy that all this engenders. I hope my cooks look forward to cooking each week as much as I do. The camaraderie of gathering for 3 or 4 hours of serious work that we choose can't be underestimated. I've loved to cook from my earliest memories, but it's here at CUC that cooking has become for me, and for all of us, I hope, a kind of ministry, sharing sustenance with our community members in need, making a difference, showing what we can accomplish together. I hope this project continues for a long time, and I hope you all can continue to support us. Thanks.
Tough act to follow, Steve. Good morning. I'm Karen Dreyer, RE Council Administrator. Anyone who knows me knows I'm very uncomfortable up on this pulpit. So if I'm here, it's important. Many of you expressed the importance of RE during the congregational self-assessment process. In fact, it was identified as one of the most important aspects of our congregation. So where do we go from here? What aspects of RE are important to us that we want to build on? What areas are we ready to stretch into? What will it take to not only sustain an RE ministry, but to grow and evolve? Well, we can start exploring these questions together on Sunday, May 21st at 11:30. Mark your calendars, when we will bring kids, teens, parents, and adults together to share our challenges and our needs and begin visioning and generating some creative ideas on how we can adapt to this almost post-pandemic world. Together, emphasis on together, we can better understand the needs of our families and the capacity of our congregation to provide an RE program that makes sense in these times. Even if your passion lies elsewhere in the congregation, we need you to come, to listen, exchange ideas, and help identify priorities. If nothing else, it's an opportunity for you to learn more about this essential aspect of our congregation. To be clear, our goal is not to tear down what has been built, but to honor it and adapt it and enhance the program so it fits with the needs of today's families and takes us into a vibrant future for our RE program. Sometimes sitting here in the sanctuary, we are unaware of how many hands it takes to keep RE going. As many as 40 volunteers are needed each year for teaching, leadership, events, and support. To reflect the need for all hands on deck, the RE Council will now be called the RE Collaborative, with 5 people in leadership positions, each with specific areas of responsibility. And much like a school PTA, will be supported with volunteers. The goal is for parents and non-parents alike to feel ownership of our RE program. I will conclude by saying Tracy did an amazing job getting us through COVID. We've had 14 new families join. But now is the time for the congregation as a whole to support families, parents, and the program. It is all of ours. Your compassion and thoughtfulness are needed. So please join us on May 21st. Some of you may just want to listen and gain a new understanding of an area of our congregation that you feel you were in the dark about. Or some of you might want to jump in and help us brainstorm. In either case, we welcome you and hope you'll consider being a part of this important conversation. Thank you.
Meredith, you have a very important phone call behind the chancel. You must take it immediately. Oh, I thought he'd never leave. Don't start yet, Catherine. Wait. Green too, just chuck that right down there.
Are you still doing the song? You're not doing the song.
I'll sing it. We've got magic to do just for you. We've got miracle plays to play.
All right. Yes. Yes, indeed. We have magic to do on June 3rd when we will celebrate our congregational life together with Meredith during his 10-year tenure. I should have practiced that. We will be having games and songs. This is not going to be a lot of people talking one after another like a retirement dinner or anything like that. Kim, have you ever heard of a game called Garmon?
No, I have not.
Oh, shocking. Well, it's like bingo, but it's called Garmon. We will call out phrases relating to highlights of our congregational life with Meredith, like journey groups or spiritual cheerleader. You would have thought she knew I was going to say that. First one to get Garmon on their card wins. And Kim? Yeah. How good is your BS barometer?
I can spot a lie a mile away.
Because we will be playing 2 lies and a truth. Can you select the true statement from the fictional ones? Be there to find out.
Oh, Catherine?
Yeah.
Well, are you feeding me? I mean us?
Now that you mention it, absolutely. Dinner features a selection of Indian vegetarian entrees from Masala Craft here in Hartsdale.
Oh, I'll be there. Yum.
Yeah, I knew. Excellent. Don't forget to sign up. Check your email for the Evite. It came from Punch Bowl, and reply so we be sure to have enough food for everybody.
And if you didn't get that invite, please leave your email or see me. But you know what? You left out the best part.
Well, I said we were going to celebrate Meredith with games and eating. What's left?
It's free. And there's free babysitting.
If you sign up in advance.
Right.
So you're right. That's what takes us from fun to magic. Hope you guys can come.
Don't worry, I'm going to button it up for you, Creighton.
I'm sorry, I gotta talk about some dry business, so.
I can throw some confetti at you.
That'd be great. Actually, it's a very positive thing. So,
Tim, it was a wrong number.
all right. This is very exciting. The Board of Trustees is very pleased to announce the results of our recent member voting to seat the Ministerial Search Committee. This committee will be charged over the next year with the task of finding someone we will consider for the position of our next settled ministers. The members will be David Bowen, Lane Cobb, Amory Damachek, Charlie McNally, Alex Nevada, Jeff Tomlinson, and Nicole Jurgen. We are very grateful to Ted Dreher, Mary Kingsley, and Eileen Mishaw for stepping up and offering themselves as nominees as well. We hope to see these dedicated members in other leadership positions in the near future. The search formation team of Mary Cavallero, myself, Nikki Clemens, Kevin McGlaren Clemens, Al Roki, and Nadine Usher have completed their task successfully and is now dissolved. We're extremely fortunate to be able to select from such a large number of highly qualified members who actively serve on the search committee. The health and vibrancy of our congregation is truly evident in the qualities of community service and commitment shown by all 10 members who ran for the search committee. Thank you.
Hello, I'm your very serious hymn leader, Kim. If you haven't yet, please take a moment to silence your phones. And then I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn. It's number 175. If you've got a gray hymnal, we celebrate the web of life. You'll also see the lyrics up behind me. Those of you who are here on Zoom, hello and good morning. You can find the lyrics on page 5 of the online order of service. It's posted on our website.
We celebrate the web of life, its magnitude we sing, for we can see divinity in every living thing. A fragment of the perfect whole in cactus and in quail, as much in tiny barnacle as in the great blue whale. Of ancient dreams we are the sum, our bones link stone to star, and bind our future worlds to come with worlds that were and are. Respect the water, land, and air, which gave all creatures birth. Protect the lives of all that share the glory of the earth.
Thank you so much. Please have a seat.
On the seventh Sunday of the season, we dedicate our chalice to the seventh principle of our faith, respect for the interdependent web of existence of which we are all a part. We invite those online to light a chalice or candle at home. Please join me in the chalice lighting words from Walter Royal Jones. Mindful of truth, ever exceeding our knowledge, and community ever exceeding our practice, recently together in ourselves as we are, to share the strength of integrity and the heritage of the Spirit in the unending quest of wisdom and love.
When John Dietrich and Curtis Reese met at the 1917 annual meeting of the Western Unitarian Conference, They got to talking and discovered that each had been exploring the idea of religion without God. Dietrich called it humanism, and Rees called it the religion of democracy because it did away with an autocratic ruler god. Eventually, it would be Dietrich's term that would win out. Historians point to that 1917 meeting of Dietrich and Rees as the beginning of American religious humanism. In the years to follow, as Dietrich and Rees preached and wrote their humanist gospel, they gained adherents and opponents.
In summer 1920, Rees carried back to the stodgier East the kind of liberal thinking that was becoming common in our more Western churches. At the Unitarian Harvard Summer School of Theology, Rees delivered an address, The Content of Religious Liberalism. For the Easterners, it was disturbing.
Why? What did he say?
He said, historically, the basic content of religious liberalism is spiritual freedom. Out of this basic content has come the conviction of the supremacy of reason, of the primary worth of character, and of the immediate access of man to spiritual sources.
I'll cut him some slack for the sexist language. Otherwise, nothing controversial so far.
Rees continued, always, religious liberalism has tended to replace alleged divine revelations and commands with human opinions and judgments, to develop the individual attitude in religion, and to identify righteousness with life. The method of religious liberalism has always been that of reflection, not that of authority.
I feel like he's building up to something.
Rees then said, liberalism is building a religion that would not be shaken, even if the thought of God were outgrown.
No, he didn't.
Oh, yes, he did.
Well, that's gonna call for an outrage graphic.
Yep.
Let us turn to those around us and extend our wishes and blessings of peace, and I invite those online to pass the peace in the chat.
congregation is an interdependent web. No member stands alone. Each of us is a network of relationships with other networks of relationship. We who are gathered here bring different gifts, experiences, perspectives, talents, skills, resources, passions, interests, sensitivities, and styles. Each of us depends on all of us, and all of us depend on each of us. It is the joy of life to be connected, to give of our uniqueness and our resources, and to be enlarged through connection and give our lives a wider and deeper meaning. The offering expresses and celebrates our mutual dependence. Therefore, let us gratefully give and gratefully receive.
From Rick Hanson's Just One Thing, befriend your body. Your body is you. But imagine for a moment that your body were a distinct thing. It has taken care of you through the years, kept you alive, taken you from place to place, given you pleasure. So in return, how well do you take care of your body? Do you soothe, feed, exercise it, and take it to the doctor? Or do you run it down, feed it junk food, or intoxicate it? It's common to push the body hard, ignore its needs until they get intense, and tune out from its signals, and then plop the body into bed at the end of another grinding day. People can also get mad at the body, like it's the body's fault if it weighs too much or is getting old. Back to reality, your body is not a distinct thing. It's you. Its needs and pleasures and pains are your needs and pleasures and pains, and its fate is your fate. So imagine a day treating your body like another good friend. Imagine loving this friend, your body, as you wake up and help it out of bed, being gentle with it, staying connected to it, not rushing about. Imagine cherishing your body as you move through the morning, such as helping it kindly to some water, giving it a nice shower, and serving it healthy and delicious food. Imagine treating your body with love as you do other activities, driving, caring for children, exercising, working with others, doing dishes, brushing your teeth. For the rest of the guidance on how to befriend your body, see the post at cucmatters.org. The link is in your e-communitarian.
Let's nicely ask our bodies to rise in body or spirit. For our next hymn, it's number 311 in your gray hymnal. Let it be a dance. And I think this is okay to move to, maybe sing to each other a little bit.
Let a dancing song be heard.
reflect about it with you further today, from the Latin root for table, commensality refers to the fact that who we take meals with and how is socially structured and recapitulates the overall social structure. I cited anthropologists Peter Farb and George Armalagos, who write, "In all societies, both simple and complex, eating is the primary way of initiating and maintaining human relationships. Once the anthropologist finds out where, when, and with whom the food is eaten, just about everything else can be inferred about the relations among society's members. To know what, where, how, when, and with whom people eat is to know the character of their society." End quote. Jesus taught a way of being and of being together in which everyone had a place at the table. Everyone would be fed and equal. Open commensality is the symbol and embodiment of radical egalitarianism, of an absolute equality of people that denies the validity of any discrimination between them and negates the necessity of any hierarchy among them, writes the New Testament scholar John Dominic Crossan. In that Easter sermon, I mentioned two illustrations from the New Testament of Jesus teaching and exemplifying open commensality. One is the story of the loaves and fishes. Jesus takes the bread, gives thanks for it, i.e. blesses it, breaks the bread, i.e. prepares it for sharing, and gives. I imagine most of those assembled had hidden away in bags or sleeves a little food for their own use, and under the influences of Jesus' teaching example, they bring out what they have and share it around. As Jesus models taking, giving thanks, preparing for sharing, and then sharing, those gathered then follow his model. Thus, community of abundance is created, replacing fearful scarcity thinking. There is enough for everyone, abundantly, when we can but learn to trust its supply and pass it around. The miracle of the feeding of the multitude is the miracle of neighborliness, of our human power to form community. And in this case, it's a community of radical equality. Everyone equally giving and equally receiving. As Crossan writes, took, blessed, broke, and gave have profound symbolic connotations and may well stem from that inaugural open commensality itself. They indicate, first of all, a process of equal sharing whereby whatever food is there is distributed alike to all. But they also indicate something even more important. The first two verbs, took and blessed, and especially the second, are actions of the master. The last two, broke and gave, and especially the second, are the actions of the servant. Jesus, as master and host, performs the role of servant, and all share the same food as equals. Far from reclining and being served, Jesus himself serves, like any housewife, the same meal to all, including himself. And the second illustration I mentioned is that parable Jesus tells about a man who sends out his servant to invite people to his banquet. Go out at once into the streets and lanes of the town and bring in the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame. Such a dinner would be highly disruptive of the stratified society of Jesus' time. But radical equality is the point. We may now add that Jesus' commitment to equality also shows up in other ways. It shows up in his itineracy, moving around constantly. The more common model in those days for a healer and teacher would be to stay in place, set up shop, as it were, and let the sick and those who wish to hear his teachings come to him. Thus, he could have established a small center of power and influence. We recognize today that there is a power imbalance between teacher and student, between doctor and patient. And it's important to recognize that power is there so that we can also be vigilant against abuse of that power. But Jesus takes steps to minimize the power imbalance. He stays on the move. He goes to the people rather than having them come to him. Compare and contrast Jesus' approach to another school of itinerant teachers of those days, a school of Greek philosophy called the Cynics. The school began with Antisthenes, who had been a pupil of Socrates in the 5th century BCE. For the Cynics, the purpose of life is to live in virtue, gaining happiness by rigorous training, and by rejecting wealth, power, and fame in favor of a simple life, free from possessions. Cynicism began to decline after the 3rd century BCE, but it experienced a revival with the rise of the Roman Empire in the 1st century CE, so Jesus and his followers would have been aware of them. Cynics could be found begging and preaching throughout the cities of the empire, and the influence of this tradition can be seen in Jesus and the early Christian community. The Cynics traveled around with nothing but knapsack and staff, symbolizing their complete self-sufficiency. The Jesus missionaries, in contrast, are told precisely to carry no knapsack and hold no staff in their hands, writes Garmon. He then asks, why this striking difference? Since a reciprocity of healing and eating is at the heart of the Jesus movement, the idea of no staff and no knapsack is symbolically correct for the Jesus missionaries. They are not urban like the Cynics, preaching at street corner and marketplace. They are rural, on a house mission to rebuild peasant society from the grassroots upward. And since commensality is not just a technique for support, but a demonstration of message, they could not and should not dress to declare itinerant self-sufficiency, but rather communal dependency. In contrast to the Cynics' itinerant self-sufficiency, the Jesus movement modeled itinerant mutual dependency. After Jesus' death, the open and equal table was ritually reenacted as the Eucharist, the communion of wafer and wine. But Eucharist ceremony reflects and reinforces hierarchy and authority as a sacrament that comes only through priestly authority. Thus, writes Garmon, open commensality has been ritualized, which was probably inevitable, and ruined, which was not. All of this does connect to our theme of the month of May, which is happiness. And I will turn to that connection after our interlude.
Mountain
What money can't buy. When I suggested this to someone, they said, well, that's just bad shopping. What you'll find in this month's issue of On the Journey is the reflection by Christine Robinson and Alicia Hawkins, which stakes out happiness as the intertwining of two things, mood and meaning. Mood is one of the factors. Sometimes we're in a happy mood, and that feels good. Some of us are genetically predisposed to a sunny temperament and are in a happy mood almost all the time. Others of us are genetically predisposed to inhabit more pensive or sadder moods. Those who aren't so constantly happy maybe sometimes find those people who are annoying. Actually, though, having cheerful people around usually helps us feel more cheerful, and the more common response is to be attracted toward cheerfulness. We like to be around a little sunny optimism. On those relatively rare occasions when cheerfulness may be annoying, I suspect that would be because a sunny outlook feels like a challenge to the more dour outlook with which we have come to feel identified. There is more to happiness than a happy mood, and maybe sometimes some of us can get a little resentful of someone else having a relentlessly happy mood if the other factor of happiness is not evident. And that other factor is meaning. A happy life is one of meaning. Meaning comes from a sense of contributing to a whole greater than ourselves. Fellowship and community, connection with others is a crucial part of our well-being. And not just because of what we receive from others, but from the chance to contribute to them, to the whole of which we and they are a part. Consider, for instance, Robert F. Kennedy's words from his 1968 campaign. Fellowship, community, shared patriotism, these essential values of our civilization do not come from just buying and consuming goods together. They come from dignified employment at decent pay, the kind of employment that lets a man say to his community, to his family, to his country, and most important, to himself, I helped build this country. I am a participant in its great public ventures. That was 55 years ago, and maybe these days it's harder to see contribution to nation as very important in life's meaning. And if so, that is a loss. With that source of meaning diminished, it's harder to feel satisfied, happy, and indeed our politics today is consequently dominated by anger and rage. Of course, it's not that there wasn't any anger and rage in 1968, and that was connected to people being shut out from a chance at dignified employment at decent pay, and the chance to be welcomed as a participant in the country's great public ventures. The dearth of contributive justice, of honoring everyone's right and need to contribute to some big us, plays out in a rather different dynamic today, but generates frustration and anger just the same. With less role for national identity, we look to other ways to contribute to something bigger than ourselves. Family, faith community, possibly work community. If a pill were to become available as cheap as aspirin and not addictive, without negative side effects, and simply by taking this pill once a day, you would be blissfully happy, would you take it? For myself, I might try it if the evidence were pretty solid that it really were safe. But the prospect of living that way, taking the happy pill along with my daily vitamin every morning, does not appeal to me. I want my happiness to be real. And what real means when it comes to happiness is that component of meaningfulness, that component of contributing to something bigger than me. I don't want to be blissfully or ecstatically happy while the world falls apart around me. If the world is falling apart, I want to be engaged in helping to shore it up. I'd feel ashamed if I thought I was turning my back on everyone, withdrawing into a private bubble of my own bliss. We need meaning. We need to be able to contribute. We need respect, which in its best form is the recognition that we are meaningfully contributing as we are able to the good of others. So happiness cannot be a matter of the pharmaceutical companies finding a more perfect antidepressant. On the one hand, yes, serotonin and dopamine and endorphins are crucial, but we can't really be happy unless our lives are real, not self-centered and self-enclosed. To be really happy, we need to feel there's a reason to be happy, a purpose we're serving, a greater good to which we are contributing, and to which our very happiness itself helps contribute. And that brings us back to the model of commensality, of the open table, of serving and being served. You see, what I've been leading up to this whole time is this: we just had a pledge drive. Rather than hoarding our treasures, we have trusted their supply and passed them around. We have manifested abundance and manifested community, for community is abundance. Our annual canvas is concluded, though you can still get in your pledge or revise it. The forms are in the lobby. And we are celebrating today the way that we come together, the way that we sustain ourselves as a community. We are having a literal open table today at the brunch after the service, and we thereby embody together serving and being served. And the literal welcome table that we lay serves for us as a symbol representing everything else about us, how we sustain each other, how we stand to each other in a relation of equality, how here we contribute to something bigger than ourselves. We know this contribution is meaningful because we are also the recipients of others' similar contribution. So we feel directly how meaningful each contribution is, and that must include our own. One other thing I mentioned 4 weeks ago on Easter was that John the Baptist was into fasting, while Jesus was more into feasting. The open table for him showed us the way to feast. Fasting is what you do to prepare, to spiritually prepare for some revelation or dispensation or post-apocalyptic vision. Feasting is what you do to celebrate what is already here. Indeed, Jesus did tell us that the kingdom of God is here now. The kingdom of God is within you and among you, he said. When we meet at the welcome table, in recognition of the fact that we have never truly been anywhere else, then we come into ourselves. Therefore, as it is writ in the Gospel according to Wayne's World, party on, Wayne. Party on, Garth.
Well, I feel like a call and response. Okay, so party on, Wayne. Party on, Wayne. Wait, then you say Garth. You guys say Garth. Party on, Wayne. Party on, Garth. Party on, Wayne. Party on, Garth.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn. Appropriately, the welcome table. It is number 407 in your grade hymnal.
Table,
Thank you for being with us this morning. Please join me in gratitude for our worship team, music director, greeters, ushers, and tech team. Awesome music. Those with us online may log out of this Zoom and log into our virtual coffee hour Zoom room. The link is on our website and we will post it in the chat. Please don't forget to put your name tag in the basket in the lobby after you leave today, but hopefully you will stay with us for brunch.
As we extinguish the chalice here, we invite those at home to extinguish their chalices as well. Now please join me in saying our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this chalice, and creation's hand continues to hold us always, in a love that cannot fade, and awareness that each life is all life.
We're going to sit at the welcome table. Indeed, we meet at the welcome table in recognition that we have never, in fact, truly been anywhere else. Go in peace.